This is your weekend market review for Sunday, July 16th, 2023. Let's go. Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well. This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent, and this is your weekend market review. Sunday, July 16th, 2023. Hopefully you're having a great weekend. Another interesting week in the market. Coming into OPEX. If you haven't watched the video on how to trade options expiration, I would check that out. It's in the library on YouTube. In general, let's talk about everything that's going to happen. It's going to be one of those weeks where I think a lot of people who are newer to the trading, newer to understanding what's going on, probably a little confused, but I'm anticipating some more chop and then potentially more down. People think, oh, I thought we were about to break out. Let's take a look at everything. We'll check out all the evidence. Again, do not look at the market through the vacuum of one or two trades and setups. So, if you have any questions, please reach out. Link is in the description for Discord room. Check us out on Twitter, posting tons of content. Ooh, hello, twit update. Check us out on YouTube as well. If you want, again, check out all of these videos. It's also on the back on my website, thetradingagent.com. Where are you at? Definitely check out the video on options expiration. Here you go. Well worth it. Well worth it. Well worth it. Very choppy typically. So again, check on the website, thetradingagent.com. It's also there in the Back to Basics education series. Again, from the beginning at the top are more beginner videos. As we get down further into the page, you'll see more advanced. Also, too, always like to just push this just in case you're looking for higher yield. Marcus is offering 5.15% for 3 months. It's very easy to refer, and if the rates go up, they bump your referral. Everything is good. Love this. Great app. Able to show things. It's pretty simple. If you have any questions, again, reach out. Link is in the description for this as well. All right, Fed watch tool. 2 weeks from now, Feds are raising. Feds are raising, no doubt. Raising canes, whatever you want to call it. 96%, that's basically a lock. Absolute lock. So if you have any questions about this, I mean, unless data really changes CPI, they're not going to do anything. They're not changing between now and then, it looks like. Bitcoin. So we talked about chopping, holding up, keep an eye on it. It just can't seem to get above the mid 31,000s. I personally think kind of like gold, some of these other things. I mean, a lot of these risk on assets have been chopping around. I don't think they're going to take off. Oil, as we talked about, dead cat bounce was coming, chop. Could it get up into the low 80s? That's always possible. I personally just leave it alone. Natural gas, same thing. Chop. If you really feel like you need to get into it, just don't expect a lot. The dollar. Talked about for weeks, months, almost seems like years. Volatility in the dollar is what matters more than just the movement in the dollar. Now, the dollar can move stronger, weaker, yada, 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 for periods of time. But big moves, big gaps, big exhaustion typically lead to something going on. Keep an eye on this. The dollar is back at range lows. It's talked about, could it break out? Could it make a higher low? It's range bound, very much like the TLT bond market. If they're stuck in between, right? In between, it's not really telling you much. However, it does look like it's, again, we talked about buying bonds. If you remember, you bought bonds in the 98 range. Good. Let's see what happens here, because we come back and retest. Absolutely. Anything's possible, right? Higher, low, whatever. Keep an eye on it, because I think the Feds, again, the market's going to price in what? The future. Well, what's the future, Dan? Keep in mind, the Feds raise interest rates, right? Market starts to price in slowing economy, slower growth, credit crunch, all this crap that's going on. Again, it's amazing bond yields haven't gone much lower, but hey, look at that retest. Talked about buying. If you took that trade, congratulations. A lot of people were looking for something to do. We talked about bonds potentially being a good buy there if you layer it in. Good start. VIX, again, if you're not buying it down here, or not buying, but you don't understand what it's doing down here, be careful. I mean, it's a great opportunity in my opinion. Take a look at it. Again, we've talked about this as well. Like the market is not bottoming with a VIX in the 38. Bear markets typically get wild and crazy. Wild and crazy guy. We're not there yet. We're not anywhere close to the bottom, in my opinion, in this market. And so it's going to chop around. If you study Markets and Motions by Ned Davis Research, I like to look that up. It's very easy to see that the market did what? In the 70s. Wide and loose. VIX. Here you go. The VIX holding up pretty well. Doesn't look that bad. SPY. Keep an eye on this action. You know, we talked about professional novice gap trap, and then it breaks out. Hits the channel highs. Old channel. Old channel. Now, again, is that important? No, I would just look to the left. And if you look to the left, right, 450, you can see there's a lot of resistance up here. I mean, if you look at the 1970s, we did the same thing. Had a strong rally, then got blasted later because the Feds get stuck raising interest rates. They have to kill inflation. Inflation is sketchy, meaning it's sticky. The Feds don't like it. It's one of those things where, keep in mind, like if inflation gets out of control, that's how you have legitimate riots in the street. People going nuts. And will they rather crash the market or let inflation blow out? That's the question, the $1,000,000 question. Either way, we said watch the 20-day. This phase is very suspect. Very suspect. But we are going into earnings. Keep an eye on some things. QQQ, same thing. Gets up into hit 379, 380. It's interesting, this action, because you gap up, doji. Gap up, chop. And then today's another doji. How much higher can we go? I don't know. I mean, a lot of people are, here's my failed M. A lot of people are anticipating, certain price action. I can't tell you for sure. I can't tell you for sure where the top is. I mean, I try to explain that to people. If you're sitting here trying to guess the tops, you are misaligned to the reality that you're not going to be able to do it. That's why layering in, layering out, picking and choosing your spots, defining your risk, having stops. I say this every time, but people are like, oh, I'm going to pick the top. I'm like, good luck with that. IWM, here you go. Talked about it. Needs to be leading, should be up in the 200s. Not a very pretty day on Friday. Is holding this little area here around 191. Keep an eye on it. DIA, I think Disney's been oversold due to bounce. Back up at the range highs. Could it break out? Tough to say. I personally think probably stuck. Stuck. This is the thing about the longer the chop zones, the bigger the moves that can proceed and follow. Just keep that in mind. Gold said it was overdue for a bounce up to the 50, 100-day. You got it. Again, a lot of this stuff, I don't trust it at all. Don't trust it at all. Again, oversold bounce. Feds are going to try to do what? Kill. Silver, same thing. Talked about it. Now, this went much higher than I thought it would go. But, hey, if you were short it and you held on to it, dumb. Now we're back up here. Just keep an eye on this area because, I mean, maybe, not maybe, I would. Can't draw today. I'd watch this area. I mean, if we can get above it and fill the gap, cool. Just tough to say. GDX, because here's the thing. The miners aren't confirming it, right? We talked about nowhere close to the highs. We talked about this bounce. Talked about this area here. Watch it. Should break out. If it doesn't, be careful. GDXJ, again, the junior miner should lead. Right? They started lagging earlier. Watch what happens up in here. Just keep an eye on it. AG, we talked about this one being oversold as hell. Probably due to a bounce. Now you're at the trend line, the 100-day. Keep an eye on that. AEM, another one that was with a leader earlier. Talked about it. It has a tendency of going below the 200-day, chopping around. Look at that. Is it just chop to go? Just keep an eye on it. Don't know for sure. Again, either way, I'm not in a rush to buy metals. And I've said this in June. I said this earlier in videos. Not be surprised by July seasonality bounce in metals materials. That's what they do, playa. We're getting it. All right, here you go, Newmont. This thing has been a dog. Rallies up to the 200-day. Cool. Needs to get going. We'll see what happens. Let's get into tech because Taiwan Semi. We talked about like these names. Is this a head and shoulders? Left shoulder, right shoulder? I mean, I don't think this top is retesting. This is a blow-off top, in my opinion. Keep an eye on it. Micron, earnings were crap. Everyone knew it was coming. Here you go. Now, this is what's so hard is that it's not going to sell off in just absolute terror if the market's holding up. We talked about dead cat bounces, 50, 100-day cross. Looking like that's it. AMD. Interesting day on Friday, right? Look at this long-ass wick. That is big volume. Somebody said, oh, let's take it to the moon. Let's get retail all in. That is ugly, y'all. That is not pretty. All day. Up. Sold at the close. Same thing with NVIDIA. We talked about it. Tech chips is not something you want to own for the long run. I'm telling you, you got to trade this stuff. A lot of people were checking this out. You had like a little bit of a channel here. Tried, attempted breakout. Oof, dangerous. I mean, how do you want to draw this thing? I mean, I would just watch the 20-day. Very sketchy. Bigger volume, long wick, closed near the lows. Keep an eye on it. Could it go a little higher? Of course. I mean, again, you have to remember, like, there's a lot of emotion in trading. That's why people are like, oh, technicals only. And like, no, it's an art. You got to understand there's like emotion to this stuff. At the lows, it's going to be really hard to pick the bottom. At the highs, it's really hard to pick the top. Intel, we talked about dead cat bounce, left shoulder, right shoulder here, right? Check this out. So whatever you want to say. Keep an eye on this level in 34. If it gets over it, no good if it can't. SMH, same thing. Talked about it rallying up. I'm not surprised it went a little higher with what the market did. Today's action, little novice gap, trap, little outside reversal potential. Again, watch the 156 now. You got to watch this little area here. I think it's simple. If you get below it, could start peeling like an onion. It's just hard. This is the problem with trading, though. Is like if you trade long enough, you think you can figure it out. I'm telling you, for right now, there's going to be times where the market does things that doesn't make sense, and it does that. And you have to just be willing to be like, all right, I was wrong. This is not right. Whatever you want to call it. Adobe chopping, retesting. Apple has been lagging the last couple of days, right? Needs to get back over 190s. Breaks the 20-day. Arrivederci, adios. Amazon, we hit our upside target for shorting. I like this area up here. Said wait. You got it. Now what? Now I think you can define your risk. Short it. I think it makes sense. CRM. Yeah, look at that. Chop. Gets, was it an upgrade? Something I can't remember. Somebody said something, but the CEO selling 100 million shares, getting people, and people are buying this. Well, Guggenheim, we talked about this one holding. Like, I guess you can technically say it just held this area. So far, so good. Bouncing back up. Now watch what happens. It gets back to the upper range. Candle looks, come on, why does it always do that? Looks a little wicky. Just looks a little wicky. Left shoulder, right shoulder, I don't know. Meta. I'm still amazed this thing rallied on the whole threads thing. We talked about this 290s areas, the old major level resistance. Now people are starting to realize, like, all these people signed up for threads and nobody uses it. And now they're controlling the narratives on it. I mean, people aren't going to be on it. I'm sorry. I mean, again, whether you want free speech, I mean, you got to have free speech, y'all. I mean, again, there's going to be stuff on the internet that people don't like, but you can't start censoring everything. Bring the light of day, disinfect it to hate speech, okay? Don't try to bury it. Microsoft, this is interesting. Long wick. Retest. Could it be? NDAQ, talked about this one. Dead money. Look for bounces. I wish it would bounce more. Yeah. NASDAQ, again, long term, not going to be the index of where all the money is going to be trading. We talked to MicroStrategy. Once it broke out, it's probably going to get stuck up here. Keep an eye on it because, again, it's doing what? Going to do whatever kind of Bitcoin does. Netflix, talked about this one in nauseum, chopping around. Again, all these names just look like chop tops. We'll see what happens. Watch the 20-day. Roblox. This one's just been in a tight zone. I'd love to see this thing pull back. I would buy this in the IRA. I think it'll get bought out at some point. Right? Tesla, we've talked about this in nauseum. Come on, trend line, you're so close. Maybe you get it on Monday. A lot of people are like, oh, I've shorted. I'm like, all right, just be careful. It looks like you could get there. Watch it. Watch the trend line. I'm telling you right now. All right, materials. Talked about China, right? China stimulus. The problem is, keep in mind, like, when a country starts stimulating and their economy is slowing, it's telling you that there's problems, not solutions. And again, that's the first wave is cutting to try to fix. Dangerous. Watch the mid 25s. The X Nucor trying to break out. Novice gap. Left right combo, kind of. Just leave it alone. Caterpillar up into the short zone. Keep in mind, a lot of these names we have earnings, so if you're not sure, be careful. VALE, we talked about a global growth name that's just been stuck in the mud. Now you could argue head and shoulders bottom, yeah, but we talked about materials being oversold due to bounce. I mean, you're just in this chop zone, in my opinion. And when the market bottoms, the market bottoms. Again, a lot of these names I think will be closer to the lows, while other thing gets just annihilated. Yeah, Arrow, I like this one. Again, we've talked about this copper name. It's kind of suspect up here. Some decent volume on red days. We'll see. Again, love this name on a pullback. CCJ, we talked about getting up in here. Kathy Woods buying. Kathy Woods buying at the highs. Keep an eye on the 31, 32 area. We talked about ag names. Love them long term, but they're due to bounce. Let them play out. Let them chop around. Mosaic, same thing. NTR, same thing. We talked about oversold bounces that were due. Trade around it, manage it. Just be smart, right? Same thing, NTR. AA, another global growth indicator, aluminum. I mean, this thing is just flatlining, dead. All right, big bank earnings, right, on Friday. JP Morgan, some of these names. Look at that candle. Man, this is what's crazy. We talked about these things could bounce up into the 34s if it held, which it did. I mean, you got to be able to pivot mentally. You can't go, oh, it can't go higher if it holds. And it's like, no, it did. That candle, not so good looking, right? JP Morgan, interesting. Like we talk about running up into it, buy the rumor, sell the news. Look at the volume. It's an old fib. Yikes. Morgan Stanley, talked about these names, just nothing. Chop, chop, another gap up and flop, right? Goldman Sachs going nowhere fast. Yawn. KRE, we've said, hey, watch this, right? Well, it just hits the 100-day. We said it could come into it. Watch the previous video. We said if it holds here, it could retest and get up to the 100-day. There it is. There it be. Keep an eye on it, right? XL, what? XBI, sorry, not X. Blah, 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 blah. Talked about this one. Dead cat bouncing at the moving averages. Broke the channel. 20-day seems to be important. 50-day as well. Keep an eye on it. If you have any questions, again, I'm moving quick, but there's not much to say. Solar, we talked about dead cat bounces in solar. Here you go, chopping around, just chop, 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 chop. Once it breaks that 66 area, good look out below. ENPH, we talked about shorting pops. Gets the 100-day. Again, I'd like to see it more. Pop to short, but we'll see. Sedge, we talked about this. If you shorted this, you should see a fake breakdown because of what? Market holding up. I don't think it's going to get through these moving averages, so if you're watching it, keep an eye on it. First Solar, we said watch the upper 190s, 200. It's getting there. I mean, if you're looking to short, this makes sense up here. And people are like, why would you short solar? It's the future. No, it's priced in the future. But you have the problem if government spending is a problem and subsidies going away. HYG, look at how wild and loose this has been, right? Breaks the trend line, rips back up to the range highs, engulfs down. Keep an eye on it, right? We'll end it with oil and gas as always. Oil, again, pops. Better hold. Again, I think it's just going to chop around, and then you're going to get some sort of lower low at some point. Then watch what happens, right? I think you'll throw the baby out the bathwater. UNG, I can't even see it. It's just crap. XOP said watch the 200-day in the previous videos. That is not bullish, y'all. Double doji, engulfing bar down. Sorry. ExxonMobil, we've talked about this one chopping and holding until it doesn't. Watch the 100 level. Could be about to break. Occidental. Buffett loves, every time they talk about him buying more, what does he do? Selling covered calls. You gotta love it. This guy is just gonna own the whole company through covered calls. He's not scared. PXD, we talked about this one. Like, if the market's going sideways, or if the stuff doesn't like break out, coming back down, they all look very similar. EQT, we talked about 40 level. Can it break over it? Nope. We'll end it with Flex LNG because, again, I like this name, 8% dividend. I think we're going to be exporting a lot of liquefied natural gas. All right, if you have any questions, please reach out. I know a lot of people who are struggling at times. And, again, trading is one of those things. When you make money, you make money. When you're losing, try to minimize the losses. If you've got this far, you have to get to that point and understand exactly how this works. So there's going to be times where the market is easy to you, and then there's going to be times when it's not, okay? And that's all it is. If you have any questions about real estate, please reach out. I'm telling you, the market is slowing. You better have your mind wrapped around who's going to list your house if you're buying a house and you're trying to middle interest rates, because I'm telling you, there's going to be opportunities. All right, if you have any questions, I'm always here for you. Dan Max, eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent. I'll see you later. Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, the PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.